Blessings, sunshine, baby.
The greatest form of love is paying attention. Chocolate, candy, bread, and dreams, girl. Better count your blessings. The person you have been is not as important as where you're going. Open up your window, 'cause honey, it's snowing. Anything you want, you can have. It's not a question of if or when. No, you don't even have to ask. No, you don't have to ask me that.
Hello, Palace Angels. Hello, the coolest people on earth. And welcome to our February notes video. This is normally something that I do on my podcast, but I thought that this month, to finish up, as it's been quite a revelatory month, that I would do it on here with you guys. I'm gonna be going over lessons in career, in art, and having a small business, in spirituality, love life, the whole thing, with B-roll. Before we get into the February notes, I do just want to let you guys know that I have released a new print, my first print of the year. My goal this year is to release a new print every month. And I'm very excited to share with you guys that the first print of 2025 is the fantasy print, with, of course, a poem on the back. So I'm going to start the video by reading that to you because I hope it can be an inspiration to you, and also some of the things I'm talking about in the poem are very relevant to how I want to feel this year. So if you get the fantasy print, on the back there's a poem and it goes like this. I love fantasy, the things that make me want to make art instead of making sense. Chocolate, candy, bread, and dreams, reckless romance. Fantasy is freedom. Elevating the mundane is an art form. It's punk. It's energy over technical mastery. It's making choices from love, not fear. The fear that the way you feel inside has no place in life. But I know that even when I was nothing, I was arriving, because who you've been isn't as important as who you were born to be, and your past is a planet with no atmosphere. Even if you don't see it, you are creator. You are creating your whole world. It starts in your mind and is projected outward like a white star. My fantasy touches everything and elevates it above the world. I think that's a beautiful affirmation for this year. So I'm really happy to have a print with that on the back. And I'm opening pre-orders. So the pre-orders will be open for 1 week. And so if you want to get the fantasy print, I will link that down below. And without further ado, let's get into our February notes. Good morning from my little Parisian kitchen art studio. This is where I spend my mornings these days. It gets a lot of sunshine in here, so it's really nice to sit down with my journal, have a cup of coffee. As I talked about in January, one of my big goals this year was to reprioritize my art practice. As a lot of you know, I am a musician, and last year I did a lot of concerts. I had a mini European tour for my live show, and it was so much fun. But the side effect of that was I completely put my visual art in the back seat, which I realized in January of this year was a big mistake, because I think that every time you throw a part of your creativity away, you start to feel phantom limb pain. So at the beginning of the year, and especially in February, my intention was to start having a regular painting practice again.
and sharing it online consistently. I know that I get a lot of comments from people talking about fear and the fear of being seen, the fear that who you are and what you have to say doesn't have a place in this world. But I just want you to know that your people are out there. I promise you that. It might not be the people in your high school, it might not be your family members, but the beauty of the internet is that you can find them. I think that when you share what you make, you are essentially inviting others to wonder with you. And the more open you are about sharing your passions, the closer people feel to your work.
So in Austin Kleon's book, Steal Like an Artist, he talks about this subject and he says, you don't put yourself online only because you have something to say. You can put yourself online to find something to say. The internet can be more than just a resting place to publish your finished ideas. It can also be an incubator for ideas that aren't fully formed, a birthing center for developing work that you haven't started yet. A lot of artists worry that being online will cause them to make less work, but I've found that having a presence online is a kick in the pants. So true. So true! Austin! The next big lesson this month is to budget in time for mistakes and experimentation, because it is through play and it's through fucking up that we learn new things.
I'm just gonna do my best, because if you see, that's dry. Okay, that's dry. That's dry. That is not dry. I finished a painting and I wanted to do like a top layer of oil paint on it, because I think oil paint has a really pretty color to it. And it's literally been a month and it still hasn't dried. I touched it and I have red all over my hands. And then I looked it up and I don't really use oil paint usually. And it was like, it could take 6 months to dry. And I'm like, girl, we don't have 6 months. We don't have 6 months. You know you have 30 minutes? I'm not mad, I'm just annoyed. Not mad. I'm not mad at you painting. I say leave it another week. Leave it another week and then you can go in.
One thing that I have been talking about in other videos is the fact that flop eras are chic, and to not be ashamed when you're starting out at something to have these awkward growing phases. And the most important thing is to just keep showing up confidently and consistently, and to believe in what you're doing. For example, I have a schedule. I treat my sharing of my work, instead of thinking about it as when I finish this painting I'm going to show whatever I'm doing, I also think about sharing the process. Like whatever I have to share in the moment is worth sharing, you know? And I think that that's an important mindset to have, and not thinking about, oh, whenever I'm in the right state then I can share something, because we want to see the process. That's something that I really appreciate in other artists. So that's been a really big lesson for me, is to release the ego around that and waiting for something to be perfect, and instead thinking, how can I connect to others in a really authentic way at this stage of where I'm at. I also shared in another video, but I've faced a lot of rejection as an artist, and rejection is something that is almost like fun at this point. It's like, ooh, another rejection. But with the mindset of everything is happening for me, I really am thankful for even the rejections, because I know that it's guiding me to something different, something even better than I could even imagine. And yeah, one of my big goals this year was to consistently release a print, consistently update my art shop with my original paintings, and I've been able to do that because I have my factory policy, like I have my priorities in line. And when you create systems instead of result-based goals, you're gonna have a lot more success, I think, in the long run, and have a lot less disappointments. Because if you're always relying on some sort of certain outcome, you're always going to be disappointed in life, because there's a lot of things that are out of our control. But what we can control is our attitude. What we can control is our work ethic, and that's something that that I've been really cultivating this month.
So some really positive changes that I made this year and continued into February was I made it a priority this year to stay sober. I also integrated a daily gratitude practice every morning. I feel like gratitude, appreciating what you have, is one of the best ways to call more abundance into your life. And so I will write out affirmations every morning, and I really see a big difference in my mental health. When it comes to sobriety, I think that at first it really does feel like you're giving something up, but with time, you gain mental clarity and you improve so much your mental posture that it really feels like you're gaining something over time. So I'm not saying that that's for everyone, but I know for me personally, as a highly sensitive person, that deciding to be sober and not distracting myself or using alcohol as a buffer has been a really big positive thing in my life. It never gets old, the morning sun out my window.
Believing that and not just standing by, because if you're at the point like Sheila said.
It's around 5 p.m. and I just got a text from this guy I've been talking to, and he said he left a Valentine's Day surprise for me at the restaurant downstairs. I have no idea what it's gonna be. I couldn't see him today. Doesn't seem like it because I'm like home doing whatever, but I can't go into it, but I couldn't see him today. And he doesn't know the codes to my building. So I'm gonna go see what he left me. I'm like embarrassed to go in there and be like, a boy left me something. Okay, we're gonna see what it is.
C'est un peu étrange, mais un garçon m'avait dit qu'il avait laissé un truc ici pour moi.
Vous appelez?
Shayna.
Ça c'est pour vous.
Oh,
Avec le rose, je sais pas
oh,
quoi.
wow. Ok, merci.
Miracles happen every day. Oftentimes people are.
I've always had the mantra that it's art first, boys second, and I really have decentered relationships in the sense of my number one priority is my work, and love should be something that comes secondary, and so I was never really seeking it out. But yeah, this year I've been just like more open to it, and this has presented me with a lot of beauty and inspiration in my life. But also, I'm having to face my issue of being a severe avoidant. I think it's also like important to share how being someone that is really career focused can also affect your love life, your friendships, your relationships, and how I sort of deal with that. So it's still something that I'm navigating, but I am working on that this month, on my avoidance tendencies, and I'm trying to find a healthy balance.
So at the end of all of my February notes, I think about next month and how I can take what I've learned from this period and make next month even better. And it's not about like success, it's more about feeling good. And I think that this month I did a really good job of having this gratitude practice and really focusing on feeling good. But I also think that I can be better at my systems, for example, around fitness, around working out, around going to my yoga classes. And that's something I definitely want to work on, as well as going to new places. I think that our brain becomes really comfortable in the day-to-day, and it's by creating novelty that life becomes exciting. This is random, but I also want to be better about meal prepping and budgeting food, just because, I don't know, I feel like a lot of times like I don't prioritize like cooking, and so I think that that's something I could be better at. And these are very small things, but the thing at the end of it is not to be perfect. It's about just giving yourself grace, you know? I'm not just looking at how things are going and judging myself. I'm just really trying to create an atmosphere where I feel safe, you know? Because when you feel safe, your inner child, as cringy as that sounds, can come out and play, and you start to make choices from love and not fear the more that you build that self-trust. Self-trust, I really think, is the most important and valuable thing. For example, if you're somebody who maybe like once a week keeps your space nice or makes yourself like a nice dinner, okay, great, but like your inner child doesn't feel safe with you because it knows that like you sometimes will let things go and sometimes you don't take care of yourself. And so the most important thing for me is to build that self-trust, and that's something that like with any relationship is over time. So anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked this format, definitely let me know. This is a different type of way for me to do a vlog. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments if you could relate to anything that I said. As well, if you guys want to pre-order the fantasy print, I will link that down below. I also have Instagram, TikTok if you want to follow more of what I'm doing. I have been posting like blog posts. I also have a Patreon where I do like little podcast episodes like this every month, and Zoom parties, and from time to time we have Paris meetups, so you guys can check that out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next Tuesday, girl. Love you. You're the coolest girl ever. And boy.